Hey everyone, Corey Shine here. Today we're going to go over how to basically build your own home studio. I know the task can seem daunting or almost impossible sometimes, and to be honest, it's not. I built my own home studio here, and I put the walls in, and framing, drywall, etc. Um, it's not as difficult as you may think. And I'll be honest with you, the hardest part for me is figuring out the acoustics, only because I have this air vent right here that right above me is my kid's bedroom, and just to the right of me is my bedroom where my wife sleeps. And so figuring out the acoustics to ensure that when I get up early in the morning at 4 or 5 o'clock, I'm not waking anybody up. So this is my next project right here. This vent needs to be completely covered with soundproofing in order to prevent as much sound getting up there as possible. And so with that, let's get it started. I'll put all the links down in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. Let's go. All right, so the first thing you'll notice on the floor there are my footers for the entire framing process. What I highly suggest is once you figure out exactly where your home studio is going to go, and you are going to be putting up walls, is when you put your footers down, before you attach them to the floor or anything or the concrete, what you're going to want to do is first measure where your studs are going to go. Those are going to be 16 inches on center, meaning the center of that 2x4 when sitting sideways, like as you're framing. And not sure how much framing experience you have, but basically you're going to want to sit that 2x4 to sit across, not going with the direction that your board is laid, but you want to go across, so you're sitting the thin side on the outside or inside of that 2x4 there. So 16 inches on center is going to be the center of that stud that you're standing up on the edge. It's going to be 16 inches from either the middle of the last stud or the wall. You're going to be sitting at 16 inches right there in the center of the side of that 2x4. And once you get that measured out, then you'll know where you can put your concrete anchors in, which you can buy a box of those at Home Depot, link in the description. And those concrete anchors, you're going to want to also buy a concrete drill bit. That drill bit's going to allow you to drill directly into the concrete. What I would suggest is use that to drill through the wood and then the concrete, so that way you at least have those lined up. So you're not drilling your holes in the concrete, then you're drilling your holes in your 2x4, and then you're all misaligned. Once you have that set up and drilled, you can insert your concrete anchors and buy some washers and nuts to go on top to screw into the top of your concrete anchor. And that way you have something to press down and hold that 2x4 to the concrete anchor, which is anchored into that concrete. And once you have that done, as you can see here, I'm doing it after the fact. This is why I'm telling you ahead of time, measuring out where my studs are going after I'd already put in my concrete anchors, because at this point, some of my studs end up being right where that concrete anchor is. So I am moving my stud over, and that kind of, when you're hanging up your drywall, if you're measuring 16 inches or you're not able to look around the other side and see exactly where your stud is, to drill the drywall screws into the drywall and stud to hold that together. You could make it a little bit more difficult on yourself, especially if this is your first time. As you can see here, I'm using my Sawzall to cut out where the door is going to go. Luckily, I had some doors, just the door itself, not pre-hung, meaning it has the frame around it. I had some doors left over from a project I was doing for a client, and you're going to see what you can do is get a pre-hung door, which has the frame on it at Home Depot, link in the description. You can pick the size you want based on whatever preference you have. And essentially what you're going to do is when you're laying out your footers on the floor there, you, instead of doing what I did, which is laying it completely to frame out the entire studio, you can put in the size, or cut it to size, so there's a gap where your door frame is going to go. Now your end caps, which you can see I just put a second 2x4 over the first 2x4 on the wall there. It's always good to double those up, just for structural purposes. It makes it more stronger, makes it a little bit more sturdy, and sometimes can make it easier for yourself if you're new to hanging drywall. My mother hung drywall for almost 15 years, so when I hung the drywall on all this, I had a little bit of experience beforehand. And so what I'm doing now, why I'm away from the screen for so long, is I'm out cutting the 2x4s to size, as I did not do that prior to the project. I didn't cut everything beforehand. I'm cutting as I'm going, which is always best, just because you don't know who did the drywall or the framing of the actual area that you're in, so you don't know if it's going to be completely level, if you're going to be a quarter inch off or what have you. Especially with new construction nowadays, they have so much room for error. They could build the Leaning Tower of Pisa and pass most codes today. So with that being said, a couple tools you're going to need, obviously, is the Sawzall, as I mentioned, if you're going to be framing it completely out. Circular saw, you're going to need a hand drill. The cheapest brand that I've found to be the most durable as far as price for low quality, as they come, because Ryobi is the quote-unquote redheaded stepchild of the power tool industry. And I'm not sponsored by Ryobi or anything, but their tools have been by far one of the most lucrative that I've been able to purchase with the income that I had at the time. And they've lasted me years. The only time I've ever had to replace one is due to my own fault for not using it as instructed. And so what you're going to find here soon is the video is going to end. They're not going to see me hanging the drywall, but you can buy drywall in sheets of 8 foot by 4 foot. Buy a box cutter. You can cut the drywall very easily with a box cutter to basically get exactly the cut you need. And so also buy a step stool. And using these bar stools that have a swivel top, not the safest thing in the world. You're going to need a level. Obviously, you want your wall to be straight. You don't want it leaning out or in, so that way every time you open the door, it swings without you touching it, and it looks better. It's stronger. It's better quality overall. Let's just put it that way. You're also going to need some drywall screws. You're going to need some construction screws. All those can be found in the screw aisle. If you don't know, ask your local Home Depot or Lowe's expert that works there. They'll point you in the right direction. 9 times out of 10, if you get one of those new boots that are just kind of fresh to the construction world, fresh to the Home Depot, Lowe's world, they may refer you to someone else who has a better knowledge as far as which ones you're going to need. Also, on top of drywall, you're going to need paint. If you want to texture it, you're going to need to buy the cans of texture. And then you're going to need insulation. Only because I had carpet and carpet padding left over from when I tore out the carpet and flooring and put in laminate flooring. And I used that as my insulation in these walls. You don't see any of that process again because this is just a one video. I didn't have time or didn't really think to record during my other processes. So with all that said, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, and I will do my best to get back to every single one of you guys. And yeah, here's the inside. What's going on, everybody? Corey Shine. I just wanted to give everybody a little update. But basically, studio is about 90% complete. Walls are up, painted. I'm still working out some lighting, trying to figure out exactly how I want it. I might just leave it like this, I don't know. But I've got some more padding that needs to go up. As you can tell, they're a little sporadic, and it's only because one pack that came with approximately 36 pieces ended up needing to be either set out for 48 hours or put under some water, and then thrown in the dryer for about half an hour. And so really don't feel like messing around with water and foam and throwing them in the dryer and all this shit, basically. But yeah, as you can tell, I've got my MIDI keyboard finally here. Finally out of the box after having it for almost 3 years. Actually, no, 3 years now. And only being able to use it a handful of times. I just didn't really have anywhere to put it while I was using it. So I had it in a closet. Got my mic. It's the NT1A1 Rode. And then got my MSI computer. The keyboard is Alesis. My tower and monitor I will be putting in tomorrow. And yeah, we're getting there. Check back.